binding document and piece of evidence. So you know what it says? It starts out saying that you will participate as a cast member. No, that's not host. I'm reading it. You're getting too... I don't want to insult you, but I'm that close.
Okay. The parties agrees that Marquita Shaheed will participate as a cast member.
Cast member, very good. Not a host.
Okay.
Not a host.
Okay.
This is the
Very good. Very good. She a fucking lying ass bitch.
And then you walked off?
No,
so what? You not being the host resulted in what then?
But I was the only one not mic'd up. Everyone else was mic'd up. I sat there and I did my part as far as, you know, holding up to my end of the bargain as the host cast member.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you recorded it?
No, I didn't. But I said I recorded.
You did not hold up to your end of the bargain. Your end of the bargain was to record a part of the show as a cast member. Whatever role you played on that cast, you were to record. And you didn't record, did you?
I mean,
did you record?
At that time, I was thinking...
Did you record? Well, then you didn't hold up your end of the bargain.
Damn, man. Damn.
So you left because of what, man? Because I know
because I realized, okay, I thought I was the host, okay? I was allegedly the host. I have a script where it said I'm the host. And I discovered that there was a young lady in a black dress that was a host.
Your counterclaim, how does he owe you, man?
Well, he's continuously using this image in which he spelled everything wrong on the website. And
that's it. Image you're referring to.
That's it. And, you know, this is the image that I actually sent him over to put on the flyer as the host, and it says on that flyer, I'm the host on the flyer. And
ma'am, did you authorize them to use this at all?
Yes, but
for what purpose?
To promote the show at that.
And when did you discover they were using it?
They were continuously using it after the fact that they. Because I don't want them to continue using my image, I stand to...
Using the image for the purpose of this event.
Yeah, but
then the event is gone.
Done.
So it doesn't benefit them to use it.
None.
Now go ahead, sir. What is your damages for? Outline your damages.
As far as mitigation, Your Honor, we actually built this entire show around her because she's in that field of expertise. We spent about $6,000 on the show. Here's one of the cameras I bought a few days before the show. We ran 3 cameras.
And it's yours and you own it?
Oh, yeah.
And you can still use it?
Yes.
What else?
The venue, we paid $400 for the venue.
Let's see it. Let's see all the things you paid for.
Request backup.
Yes.
Now, what happened with the show when you pitched it? No one picked it up?
Well, a lot of people were expecting her to, you know, to be the host of the show. So it was, and part of the contract was for her to pitch the show, but she has a direct contact with VH1.
And you had someone replace her, though?
Not at that moment. She walked out on us.
Whenever it was, since you had someone replace her.
Me?
No, it was a lady in a black dress that was.
I'm the one host the show.
Why would you do that?
I had no other choice. I had all
You did. You had the choice of canceling it and getting your money for her breaching it. But you stood in, thinking that you looked like her.
Well, he sounded like it.
You know what nobody gonna buy this with you.
You have slain an enemy.
More of Judge Mathis when we return. Vivian is being sued by her cousin's husband, who claims after Marquita agreed to host his reality show, she walked off the set and never returned.
So you got your camera to use in the future, and you rented all these other things. I am going to grant you half of what you're requesting. $2,500 is your judgment. Ma'am, he did not breach his contract. I'm looking at this. There was no food guaranteed in this. Yes, you were
just a hungry bitch.
To be a cast member. That's what this says. I'm going to dismiss your claim for breach of contract. I'm going to hold you in breach of contract for walking off the set. You should have said to somebody, hey, I'm supposed to do this. Hey, nobody talked to you, well, talk to them. Stand back.
I didn't do all of that.
I'm gone. $2,500 is your judgment, sir. All right, don't you try to star in nothing. Use your day job.
She don't have anything to say to me because it's not about him. She already, yeah, you don't have nothing to say with me, them contacts, put the contacts in.
Take her,
don't you better. You have nothing, that's hard.
You know what? So I cheer when I wear my hair. Really?
You are so male.
She's alcoholic and drugs.
Oh, God, come on.
She's dressed up with makeup on.
On the left.
Plaintiff Marjorie Duffy says the defendant is her son, and she claims he started drinking and smoking pot when he was 15 years old. Marjorie claims as a result of the defendant's drug use, he spent 2 years in jail for burglary. Marjorie's suing her son today for the cost of a car. Defendant Austin Duffy admits that he started using drugs when he was 15, but says after he spent 2 years in prison, he tried to turn his life around. However, Austin claims he relapsed after having back surgery and eventually hit rock bottom. But now he's clean and sober and feels his mother is suing for more than he owes.
Start with you.
I just don't see how family members can sue family members.
Enemy rampage.
began when he was about
That shit
15.
was wild to me. He was so money hungry.
Drinking, smoking
Your team
pot,
destroyed a initiate retreat.
into other drugs,
Well, that's his fault.
pills,
Launch attack.
Percocet.
What age should he start those?
Shut
I'm
down.
sorry.
What age did he
Launch
start those?
attack.
Around just as he turned 17, I believe. And
Enemy
I
has
received a
been
call
slain.
from the local sheriff saying that he had been arrested, and he did 2 years in jail for
Ally has
burglary.
been slain.
I had also experienced him, stealing things, taking things from home. I'm sure to pawn it or have it.
Did he get past all this?
Yeah, he did.
Going to jail? That's what it was.
Yeah, I think so. And
Launch
he got
attack.
out, and things were good, except he really struggled finding work. And I think the
Every man
depression.
gonna struggle in that shit sometime.
He
Some point in time.
had back surgery,
Initiate retreat.
and that kind of let him back down there again.
Has been
That
Painkillers from the surgery? And how long ago was that?
he had the surgery about 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago.
All right, and you believe he's
Your
still
team
struggling?
destroyed a turret.
Well, we ended up as a family. Mike got great support, and through my therapy to deal with everything.
Request backup. Enemy rampage.
We said we got to stop. We're not going to get. I can't go down this road again. And he either get help or we have to walk away. And he did. I was very proud of him.
What did he do?
He did 10 days and was a candidate for Suboxone. And
Blocks the
it blocks the need and
and the effect.
take it and the effect.
Slain. Ally has been slain.
And he's been doing good.
Enemy double kill.
I have to make him accountable.
Oh, absolutely. If he owes this, I'm surprised this is all you're suing him for. You're suing for all the stuff he stole from you when he was getting high. Not just what he did when you get straight. I always tell folks,
Lord,
you know, you cause all that damage when you're getting high. When you get straight, don't think that people still aren't damaged. They still miss your stuff, right? The TV's still gone, right? Yeah, that's right. All we have in the world won't bring that TV back.
Right.
Statist Duffy is being sued by his mother, who claims Austin started using drugs when he was 15, and as a result spent 2 years in prison.
Sir, can you give us some background?
Okay, like she said, when I was about 15, it started getting really out of control. Then when I was 18, just with wrong people, wrong time, doing the wrong thing, went to prison for 2 years. And that really straightened me out. After that, I wanted to do the right thing. So I started looking for work actively, but my record you know, anytime they say, you look at somebody and say, I need a job, and I say, well, your record's pretty bad, what's it for? And you say theft, they look at you and say, get away from me. So it was really hard. I turned to construction work, and through that I did a lot of damage to my back. So I had the surgery, like she said, and I thought that I could control it. I could control my medication, but you know, I couldn't.
Hey, it's the same high.
Right, yeah. And I just, you know, ignorantly thought I had it beat. And so things started spiraling downward again. And just as she said, my family pretty much stonewalled me and cut me off completely. I was at total rock bottom, and it was either, there's one other alternative after jail's institution. So,
where were you living when they cut you off?
I was at the time homeless, living in my car.
The car that she loaned you the money for? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be funny.
Believe it or
car
not,
you was living in?
believe it or not, that was the vehicle that she got me after.
All right, we'll talk about that, but what I do want to point out is it is extremely difficult, that type of tough love, but it worked. Tough love sometimes, most of the time, works, but it's just very, very difficult. Those who are watching, I give them a couple of chances, but if they just won't get it together and keep making you a victim of their addiction, perhaps come back. All right. Let me hear from you on the car you're suing about.
Well, he was working at that time, but his car broke down, and I said, okay, I'll let you borrow my car. It's only to go to and from work.
When?
May of 2014.
All right.
And I'm going to work, and I receive a call that his girlfriend totaled my car, my SUV. I just bought it, Your Honor, in November. And so, of course, I go to the scene, I make sure she's okay, and, you know, everybody calms down. And so about a couple weeks later, we talked.
What caused the accident?
She claims that it was kind of bad out that day, that they were both going in towards the same line. And she panicked and kind of went too far to the right and rolled.
All right, honest mistake from your understanding?
Yes.
No drunk driving, no driving while high?
No.
All right.
Automatically check that.
All right. You're suing him for negligence as a result of giving your car to someone else when you told him not to?
Yes.
All right. Sir, let me hear from you about the car.
She did tell me not to loan the car out to anyone. I was at work at the time. It was kind of an emergency situation. You know, you don't foresee that.
Some kind of woman can be worse than crack. You're all cleaned up, you're back to work and everything else. You're an honest man, bringing your mother her car back on a regular basis or what have you, and time that woman stepped here, doctor. Give her that car, I don't care what your mother's saying. Let's get back on the subject. Sir, what defense do you What defense do you have?
Okay, so at the time she told me that the car was worth, or that she had paid $4,600 for it. And so that's what I agreed to pay back at the time, because I was trying to do the right thing. But then looking more into it, the car isn't even worth that. It's only worth $28,000.
When did you determine that?
When I looked on Kelley Blue Book.
When was that?
That was about 7 months, 8 months after I told her I'd pay her the $46,000.
When you felt remorseful, you said, I'm going to pay you all of it, Mom. throw you in debt, you spend some money out, and I went against your request and had your car totaled. I'm gonna do right by your mama. 8 months later, I don't really think I need to pay her all this money.
Stay tuned. The verdict next. And coming up on Judge Matt started using drugs when he was 15, and as a result spent 2 years in prison.
How much have you paid out of any of that?
When I was working, I did give her 2 payments of $150. Well, I gave her $150, and then my girlfriend also gave her.
Like I said, here and there. And you paid how much? $4,600 for the car?
Paid $4,500.
$4,500.
Yes.
And you're suing for $4,200, giving him credit for
the $300.
And you have something you're showing me there.
Yes.
But he admits to agreeing to pay you. He just says he changed his mind. What do you have you want to give me, sir?
Well, it not only, did I. The only reason that I did quit paying, Your Honor, was because I lost my job.
When did you lose your job?
I lost my job in February.
All right, and that's February of what?
February
15? 2014.
No, 2015, I'm sorry.
Over a year?
Yeah.
You haven't worked yet?
And I have not worked since.
In over a year?
That's correct.
Is that your understanding?
Yes.
How about your girl? The one who did it. She work?
She's actually supporting the household.
All right, that's that debt. Your debts are part of the household. Particularly if she calls that debt. And which we know she did. What do you have? You have this blue book you're referring to?
I do have the blue book value as long and also to...
She didn't agree to amend the agreement. And this is... What date? You got this from 2016 blue book?
I actually just got that one.
Right. And she just got her car nearly 3 years ago.
Yeah, thank you.
So you can't pay her today's price for what you did nearly 3 years ago or what your girlfriend did. I'm going to enforce the agreement. Judgment for the plaintiff, $4,200. Have a good day. Continue success with your recovery. Glad to hear that.
I hope that we can move forward and rebuild things.
I don't want that. It's good.
Plaintiff Larry Levy says he met the defendant 10 years ago when they worked together. Larry claims he asked the defendant to work with him on another project. And while working together, Larry gave him a loan. Larry's suing because the defendant has yet to repay him. Defendant Chris Avina says when he agreed to work for Larry, he agreed to split the profits evenly with Chris. However, Larry breached that agreement and never paid Chris for his work, so he's countersuing.
Start with you.
Well, I met Chris Avina about 10 years ago. He worked on a project with me, and then we hadn't seen each other for a number of years. And recently I started another project, and I contacted Chris, because we're kind of like Facebook friends. He said that he would be interested in working with me on it. And,
doing what?
It's a technology-related item that's going for patent right now. It has to do with TV gloves.
Okay.
And Chris was interested in it. We worked on it for a little bit. And
what was the agreement before you began working?
There wasn't any agreement.
Oh, there was no agreement to pay him?
No, he thought, no.
He was volunteering?
Correct. He thought he would help me on it, see where it went.
Okay, he was volunteering?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He agreed to volunteer to work for you?
Correct.
All right, with and nothing in the future promised? Just...
Yes, I told him, let's see how it goes, and I would like to bring you in as a partner on it somewhere down the line.
That is an agreement.
Oh, yeah, it was.
That's not volunteering.
No.
That's doing just what you're doing.
Correct.
You're spending your time working for free.
Correct.
Until
the end.
It works out.
That's correct.
That's an agreement.
Well, there wasn't any pay structure. That's what I meant on it, except for the end.
All right. What was to happen in the end?
I would give him a piece of it, and
You didn't say what piece?
No, we hadn't discussed that.
More of Judge Mathis. Plaintiff Larry Levy worked with the defendant, who claims Larry never paid him for his services.
What was the agreement in exchange for you to help him build his product? What was the agreement?
That we'd split the deal, you know, that we'd,
Our turret has been destroyed.
divide it, and that I would get half and he would get half.
You would invest your
I
time
invest my time for that.
and get half as a result.
Yes, sir.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
And you don't know how much. You're not telling me how much. He's very clear. He says half. It took you a while to finally admit that, yes, you were to compensate him with partial ownership. He's very clear on the amount of ownership, which is a reasonable approach. You all work to build a business together. It's half and half in many instances. In this instance, it's your idea, so you would probably get more of a share. But you don't know because you didn't discuss the share. He says you did discuss it. I'm more inclined to believe him because most people won't go into business with someone without knowing what share they're going to own. So, is there any evidence on the percentage of ownership?
No percentage is mentioned anywhere, Your Honor.
It was a verbal.
Yes, it's mentioned by him. What are you talking about?
No percent. No, he says 50%. We never spoke about 50%.
But you spoke about a percentage.
Absolutely.
He was going to help build your business. He was going to do it without receiving one dime up front. But he was going to receive a portion of the business.
Correct.
Do you know how much that was?
Depends how he performed.
Okay. So if he performed excellently, what would he get?
An enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain.
If he performed poorly, what would he get?
What he did.
No, you got percentages now. If he performed poorly,
20% for excellent.
You said,
So that means if you perform poorly, you don't need to pay him.
Excellently, he will get 20% of the business that he helped build. If he performed poorly, what percent would he get?
Nothing.
Nothing. He would just have worked for free. Good enough. All right. So, tell me why you're suing him.
I'm suing him because he came to me and wanted to borrow money because he couldn't pay his rent.
Wonder why.
I wonder why. Like,
when did he do that?
He performed. You know.
I know. When did he do that? When did he come to you for a loan?
In June.
And when was he to repay? It was for how much again?
$2,500.
When was he to repay it?
In 45 days from that date of June 7th.
All right. And how much have you received? Nothing?
Nothing.
And what has he said?
He said he couldn't pay me, and he wanted a percentage of the
You have been slain.
We don't even have a company established.
An ally has been
Really
initiated.
nothing to pay him on, except some poor products that I
You
received.
said he asked for the percentage. You're saying he asked for the cash?
No.
In exchange for what you owe, what he owed you.
Yeah, the money
He's
he
saying
borrowed.
deducted from
Yes.
my percentage.
Correct.
Okay. And what is the unreturned profit?
A sewing machine and some products, some gloves that I had given him, which related to the product.
All right. And how much worth? I guess it's
About $150.
All right. So products related to this
Our
bid.
turret is
So
under
what do you
attack.
say? He says you borrowed $2,500 and you were to repay it within 45 days. He says you refused to do so. You're asking him to deduct it from the business in which you are 50% owner. He says 20%. What type of job did you do? Let's start there. Did you do an excellent job?
He did a lousy job.
All right, so you get 0, according to him.
Oh.
All right. That's what he just said.
Well, he's
He
worked
did
on it for
0.
almost a year, and what he's given me is...
He worked a year.
Almost.
How much? How long?
Well, you have to understand...
How long did he work on this business?
Oh, I don't, 8 months.
Oh, dang, you did 0.
Almost
I bet
zero
you'll do a
work.
better job next time.
Yeah.
Going in the business with somebody. Just coming in late, everything.
He is fucking, bro.
All
He is
right,
laughing at
sir.
your dumb
So
ass.
what do you
He's
say
not
to
agreeing
Ramon?
with you.
We
He's
start
laughing at how
there,
dumb you
and then
sound.
we can get on your counterclaim
And how you
for
don't
the
make
breach of
sense.
contract. But
And
first
how
we
he know
have
you
to
love him.
resolve the issue of the loan. Did you borrow $2,500 from him?
I did. And
Did you agree to repay in 45 days?
what I had said in a text message is that, you know,
Did you all have a written agreement for the $2,500, sir?
I asked him, well,
I have a cancelled check which I wrote on it, loan for 45 days, and
Okay, let's see.
We'll be right back. And on the next, Judge Mathis worked with the defendant, who claims Larry never paid him for his services.
At the start of this transaction or agreement, you knew it was a loan, and that's what it says here.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just, we didn't discuss the terms of it. I had sent it.
You wrote it on the check.
I
so.
told him I didn't see the check, so, I mean, I saw the check, but I didn't read the
Memo section. Go ahead.
my fault. So, yeah, I guess, I mean, I obviously wanted to pay him, and I actually, I didn't even think about all
Your
the
defense
contract, but I-
is subtracted from what you owe me as 50% owner of this company.
Because he,
All right, and did he agree to that?
no, because
All right, so if he didn't agree to that, we have to stick to this agreement. Yes.
what the situation was is I had said I will pay you, and he wanted me to put it in writing, like the terms of me paying him back, and I said that's fine. I have no problem paying you back. I have no problem putting that in writing. But before we do that, let's put it in writing our business agreement. And that's all I asked. I wanted to be reasonable, and he refused, and he
All
said
right.
that my work
So,
was crap.
we
had
got to
no
conclude
agreement.
that you owe, and then we'll see what happens with your counterclaim, which is separate. Also, the $150 worth of equipment.
I will return that, no problem.
You'll have it and you'll return it?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we'll give you 30 days to return that. So let's get to your counterclaim. You want $3,000, saying that he breached his contract with you. And the contract you're referring to is the 50% ownership?
Exactly. And
All right.
saying that I don't, like my work was worth nothing, and after 8 months of him being quite happy working with me, having no problem, keep on working,
I wouldn't
smiley faces and in text messages, being like,
You know that nigga wasn't doing
continuing
shit.
the relationship.
How did you come up with the number 3,000?
You know, the technical aspects that I had to deal with. I did a lot of 3D designs. I'm you know, do some engineering
Do
design.
you have any of the work product or a list of the things you did?
Yes, it's in my.
Have it with you today?
I have like all of the
All right,
patent
let's see what
searching,
you have.
and I have some images of the actual prototypes that I had
Let's see
made.
what you have. And he says you did work. He says it was just a poor job, so therefore he doesn't intend to give you a dime after that 8 months worth of work. And that percentage of the business he promised
I gave
you.
him $500 when we started.
But you won't give him his percentage of the business.
Darn
even
right.
though you admit that he worked
Correct.
8 months. All right. The question is, was that a contract? And based on the testimony I've heard, I'm quite convinced that there was a contract and his interest in this business that will continue, I'm sure, even if it's not 50%, it's at least 20%, and he'll probably lose a lot more than he's going to get today, because I'm sure you intend for it to be successful, right? You might make millions of dollars.
Not based on his work.
I understand,
Yeah,
but you
okay.
might make millions of dollars. So if you make 10 million, he's losing at least 2 million. You want 3,000 or you want 2 million?
I like your math.
Which one you want?
Please, $2 million. I'll take that.
Yeah, I
You
like
didn't
that.
sue for that.
And I'll pay
All I can give you is what
I'll pay him his
you sued
$2,500
for.
back.
I'll give you, and this is serious because this is a legally binding arbitration hearing. I'll grant you $3,000 without prejudice, meaning you can still go to a court of higher jurisdiction and sue for the rest of your money within the statute of limitations. And another judge will decide based on perhaps the projections. That judge will have his clerk look at this. They'll look at the performance thus far, what the current value of that business is, and they'll give you that percentage. I'll grant you your judgment as well. So $2,500 is your cash judgment. He's going to return your property. If he does it within 30 days, then you get the balance of $150. And I'll grant you your $3,000 without prejudice, meaning if you go and sue in a court of higher jurisdiction, whatever that judge gets you, that judge may deduct this $3,000 that you are receiving. All right, good luck to you.
turret is under attack. Initiate retreat. Initiate retreat. An ally has been slain. Our turret has been destroyed. Initiate retreat. Enemy killing spree. Our turret is under attack. Our turret has been destroyed. Initiate retreat! Initiate retreat! Initiate retreat!
Garbage as fuck, bitch.
Plaintiff Cassandra